velvet, but it's hard, it's resistant and receptive. It's a gorgeous surface to draw on. And then you get the whole printmaking process is always one of kind of intense work and then complete revelation, because you have the reversal. When you print it, you just get this gorgeous, like, surprise, really.
Here, it's the real stuff. Otis is the best Canada has. The other artists here are all trained, experienced, and exhibiting artists.
See, it's moving. You don't have to do anything.
I think I was doing it too small.
See, and just move it. And then
all right, yeah.
And we're so lucky to have Otis to print for us, so you can use your artistic ability and develop it and do it without having to learn all the technical steps. And any problem you come up with, he can solve it, which is also very good, because there's lots of problems.
Holy shit. And just do this. But no puddles, like you don't want to have water puddles. You want to just, and you're going to sponge it one more time, and then I'm going to pull off a little more up here. The faster you roll, the more ink comes off. The slower you roll, the ink goes onto the stone. So there is a bit of a rhythm that you have to observe. Yeah, so there is some sort of logic to this rolling.
After you've wet your stone, you roll ink on it, but where you drew is resistant. And then when you roll the ink on with your roller, the parts that are wet don't pick up ink, but where you drew didn't get wet, so it picks up ink.
And then the bar comes down, and now I set the pressure, and I give it usually a half turn, like so. A little off, that felt too much for the morning, and off it goes. And to get the shape of the stone, I go off the edge this way. Okay, so be lifted up. And so this is now an original print. It's printed by hand on a sheet of paper.
That's why we went 6. It's a plane crash on King Street in downtown Oshawa in the early 1900s, like during the First World War. And it crashed right onto one of the buildings at the main intersection of Oshawa. I mean, how many cities have an airplane crash in the middle of their town, you know?
We'll try to find a bar soap with a brush, and you could soap the stone.
Okay.
And then wherever you paint with the, like, be kind of painterly, it should pick up ink where the soap goes.
Kidding.
Yeah.
And the idea is to paint between the lines.
Yeah, so we'll look for the soap.
Sometimes the stone, the quality is so beautiful that it's tempting to just leave it and make it the finished artwork. The image is now physically in the stone. And to remove it, you have to grind off the surface of the stone. These stones would probably be 100 or 150 years old, and they're German limestone, which is very fine grained. You don't want inclusions or fossils or anything in it. You grind the old image off, and then you can use the stone again, or other artists use the stone. One of the things I learned from working with Otis is there is a kind of poetry around the stone. This tells me that sometime in the past, in the press, where you get pressure 20 or 30,000 pounds per square inch, stones will snap. So these are indications of an artist working with the stone. It could have been 50, 75 years ago. Something of that artist and what they went through still remains. What I'm doing now is putting on the estasol, which is starting to dissolve what's here. You can see in here that the drawing is starting to soften. If you look very closely, you can see a ghost of the image still in here. It takes a little bit of work, but you can see here how the image is gradually disappearing. You can see why I said it was disconcerting. It would appear that you've lost all your work, that everything you drew is no longer there. But there's a memory in the stone, and when you ink it up, the image comes back up.
doing here and all the rest of it, and yet Bob Carnie is the real deal. There are only, what he does with photography, there are only maybe a dozen people in the world that do it, and he's in huge demand. Photographers, the best photographers in the world, only want Bob to print their photography. So I didn't want you to go away thinking that his humble thing was worthwhile.
Robert had a studio here, so he could also continue to do his art while he came up and stayed the entire summer on the lake. So also having your own print studio means you have control. You have the paper you like, you have the inks that you like to use. So it gave Robert a great amount of ability to print when he wanted, using the tools that he preferred to use, and again, to invite friends. I'm not liking what's going on in there.
Well, that's not going to get any better, unfortunately. You have to start again with it, but I would think it would be better if you just transfer into a plate, and then Otis can transfer it and get it right. Okay?
Okay, so I'll do it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Love you.
Love you too. Love you too. Sorry, darling. We didn't transfer it very well, Otis. I didn't. It's me. I didn't transfer it well, Otis. Not you.
That's great.
No, Cecily doesn't like all of what's going on here.
I don't like that stuff. It's got to be crisp.
You mean the
You
fabric?
know, well, how can I fill it in?
Waste. That's,
Or you mean
there's oven cleaner you can just paint in there.
oven cleaner? See, I knew there'd be something like soap.
Why the X's? The main thing is, one of the artists that we all knew and worked with a lot, that passed away a short time ago, was Peter Kolisnyk. He was a minimalist, one of the most important 20th century Canadian artists, represented Canada internationally a lot, and was an old friend to most of us. I knew Pete for 43 years. We showed at the same gallery, overlapped in our teaching. And he worked with X's, and he made the marks in all different kinds of ways. So when he passed away, I keep him in my life by putting one of his X's each one of the prints. So I sort of made a commitment that every time I do a print, there'll be a little vestige of Peter Kolisnyk still there. I think with artists, one of the things that you come to see is everybody's a mentor. You are artistically expanded by the process of working with other artists. And then there's the simple thing of the joy of it. There's always a little bit of a feeling